Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success talk show. My name is Rochelle, Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step into their most authentic personal brand to gain and attract lucrative opportunities. And what does this all mean? Well, I operate in 4 different areas. That is visual appearance, behaviors, communications, and digital presence. I believe once you master these certain areas, that you can get anything that you desire and you deserve, especially in today's marketplace. And so, as the CEO and founder of Slate to Success, I'm also a certified image consultant, a personal brand expert, an author of several books, and most proudly, a 30-year United States Air Force veteran. Huh? So as you come into the show, please make sure that you let us know where you're streaming in from. Tell us your name so we can have you included in the conversation, because this is where we have a real conversation with real people who are actually living life on their own terms. And they're doing it most successfully. All right. So you don't want to miss out in any of the conversations. And I'm here on selected Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I bring in a guest. And this guest has all the components of slay. So what does slay mean, y'all? All right. If you look at the Urban Dictionary for the definition, because that's where you'll find it, it means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that really resonate with me, and hopefully they resonate with you too. And that is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So as you're coming on in, I know it's football night. Okay. Hey, Vanity. Marilyn in the building. Okay. You know it, Queen. And last night was such an amazing time that we got to reconnect, y'all. We were at the Air Force Ball having the time of our life. And Vanity was there, and she is also an active duty Air Force member right now. And so thank you so much, Queen, for being here live with us tonight. So as we're having conversation, if there's a question that you have or comment that you want to make, this is a place to be it. This is a safe place, if you will. We've created this space. This show has been going on for the past couple of years now. Well, I'd say it's almost been 2 years now. And so I've had some amazing guests. Actually go to Slay to Success YouTube channel and subscribe, y'all, or go over there and you can binge watch all of the other guests that I've had. They've been some really SLAYMAZING guests with really gems and information. And so you don't want to miss out on anything because we've given everything that we got. And yes, good evening, Chevy, and welcome to the Slay to Success talk show. Thank you so much, Queen, for being here. I know you're busy getting ready for the week, so it's so great to see you live. And yes, it was love seeing you too, Queen. Okay, we're going to make something bigger and better, all right, the next time we see each other. I got some things coming up. All right, y'all. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and share with you all who I have with me tonight. Okay. Now, we met through Veterans Growing America. So if you're in the DMV and you're not quite sure of Veterans Growing America, this is where Donnell Johns and Tanda Johns, they actually have 2 marketplaces, one in Woodbridge, Virginia, and one in Clarksburg, Virginia, or is it Clarksburg, Maryland? And they actually have place where veteran entrepreneurs have products or services and they sell them in these very local community places. And so if you haven't been, I'd highly recommend that you look it up and go. But I met Wanda at this event, and we had a Grit and Grace event specifically for women veterans. So anyways, I met her and I was like, oh, you know what? She's got this vibe, y'all. She's got that vibe that you're like, she's our people. Okay. So when I met her, I discovered that she has done a lot of things in her lifetime, but here recently, she is a personal finance educator and advisor with more than 35 years of experience in financial management and analysis. She launched Grayson Consulting Group to educate and inspire financial wellness for businesses, for nonprofits, and for individuals. Now, her consulting group is an outgrowth of the work Wanda did. Okay, she did for the United States government, where she managed federal appropriations up to 3.6 billion and staff sizes up to 75 employees. So she's developed budgets and operational plans, writing, interpreting financial policies, managing annual and multi-year appropriations, and conducting program and data analysis. And now she coaches individuals, businesses, and nonprofits on achieving their financial wellness goals, which are based on the mind money connection. And what she interprets as financial wellness is not just about making money or chasing the wealth. It's about really understanding the deep connection between financial decisions, mental health behavior, and self-worth. So she works with clients to help them recognize how their behaviors, beliefs, and emotions shape their financial choices. And she's helping people to focus on creating healthy, sustainable habits that build and empower. All right. So I just want you all to get to know her a little bit better. So, welcome, Wanda, please, y'all, to the stage as she is going to grace us with her presence.
Hello, 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 and good evening. How is everybody doing? Hi, Rochelle. Hi,
Hey,
Rochelle.
hey, what is going on? You know what, Wanda? I already know people. Like when I meet people, I kind of understand like whether or not they would fit on this particular show. And when we started talking, I was like, oh yeah, like this right here, her vibe is the right vibe. And I just can't wait to have you tell us your story. So let's just go back just a little bit.
Okay,
And just share with the audience a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just start having a conversation.
okay. So I am Wanda Grayson, founder of Grayson Consulting Group. I am first and foremost a woman of God. I am a true believer because I recognize that I didn't get here any of the things that I have by myself. I am a mom. My son is 28. He'll be 29 in a few months. He just finished his master's program. So I'm waiting to, in December, do his graduation ceremony. And that's my favorite role. And that's my forever role, mom. Um, and I'm an Army veteran, 9 years. I did 26 years in the federal government, so a combined total of 35 years. And yes, I've lived in Europe, I've lived in North Carolina, I've lived in uh, I don't know, Alabama, Huntsville,
Mm.
and so here I am. Just being me.
Yeah. Well, just being you is amazing. So, all the things that you just shared with being an Army veteran, number one, that's a checkbox for, some of us that understand how to live differently and to be able to persevere through difficult situations. That's one. And then working in the federal space for a very long time and understanding that system, because that is a different type of system as well. Having your son who is now almost 29 years old, and that is a feat in itself, and you never really see your children growing up and being of that age. I have a 15-year-old son, or we have a 15-year-old son, so it's like, oh my goodness, he's already changed. So within all of this, you shared that you are now in the financial wellness industry. What is the story behind all that?
So, in the 35 years in the federal space, I got the opportunity to deal with people at all levels, senior executives, congressional appointees, political appointees, just everybody from the lowest level up to the highest level. And it's amazing to watch people manage other people's money.
Mm.
And I used to tell myself that, they were just doing it because it wasn't their money. But then I came to realize that, people act in the natural state no matter whose money it is.
Mm.
And there were just some differences in how they would do business versus how I would do business. And it just became a matter of understanding that there was a lack of the financial literacy that people need, that people should have. And so instead of just doing financial literacy, which, people put on classes, they do it in an hour. You learn about banking, you learn about budgeting, you learn about crediting. I don't do that. I do financial wellness. Financial wellness, you cannot teach in an hour, because financial wellness is about just that, being financially well, whether it's about money or the intangibles, because everything that has value in your life is not necessarily tied to a dollar amount.
Yeah.
And so you have to relate to that. And so in my work, as well as in my preparation to do Grayson Consulting, I just came to embrace, once I left the federal space, my mind was so clear, it was almost scary, but thoughts just started to flow. And so I recognized that money, finances, and all things that attaches itself to values with regards to contracts or anything that's got anything to do with a monetary value is emotional.
Yeah, it
And
is.
and a lot of coaches, like I'm a personal finance coach. That's one of the things I do. I'm a small business manager. I'm a business analyst. I do that as well. But one of the things that I respect first and foremost is that the wellness piece of money comes from way back. It's about your mindset. It's about your beliefs. It's
Yep.
about what you observed growing up, what you came to understand as normal money habits, maybe watching your parents or your grandparents or whoever you lived with. And that's not always the best way, or as time has evolved, you can't keep doing business the way they did it. You have to evolve with the times, because if you don't, you get left behind. And
Yeah.
so wellness is about making that mind money connection and building sustainable behaviors, because I can tell you how to budget all day long and you'll do it as long as I'm watching. But my concern is, what are you doing when I stop watching?
Right.
So, yeah. So I don't just do numbers. It's not just about money. It's just about making you have a whole new healthy relationship with money. And that's about truly meeting you where you are, but it's starting with the mental and the emotional state that you view money in. And so that's where the wellness piece comes in.
So I guess my question for you is, what was your relationship with money? What was your experience with money when you were growing up?
So my mom and dad, we were good. It was five of us. We had five. There were five children, three boys, two girls, and then my mom and my dad. And we were okay. But my dad made it very clear that it was his money. We had to earn it. We had to do the chores. We had to, we had to do what we had to do to earn our wages, if you will. And I understood that he was trying to teach us responsibility. Nothing comes for free. And I absolutely, for him and my mom, I applaud that, because nothing comes for free. But I left home with the mindset of, this is my money. Everybody around me got to get their own money. You got to do your part. You got to earn your money. And so what brought it home full circle for me was, my son wrestled nationally when he was in high school. And we did okay, because my professional goals was as such that I wanted to at least be a GS-15 before he got to high school. And I did that.
Yeah.
So I was financially comfortable, but girl, wrestling is an expensive sport.
Look, you don't have to tell me. We in basketball, so
Yeah. And they had, his high school had like 3 or 4 different singlets, and he had to have all the shoes. But the thing that got me was, the shoes were $110, $150. But he said, Mom, these shoes are not comfortable until they're like torn up. And so I'm like, I gotta buy you stuff to tear up. But in my mind, I'm thinking, this is annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's annoying because, okay, you tearing up the stuff that I'm working hard to get you, or this is my money you spending, not yours. And I had to stop one day and just kind of ask myself, this is my pride and joy. This is my little piece of gold. This, I support what he does, but I was like, why is it annoying me that I got to share my money with him? And he is probably on this podcast looking, thinking to himself,
What?
but I had to regroup because I kept hearing my dad say, this is my money. You got to earn your money. And I only had 3 rules in my house, for my son. It was do your chores, mind your manners, get good grades. If you do that, I got the rest.
Yeah.
But I was like, he is doing all of that and this is getting annoying. And so something is going on. And so I had to stop and do an introspection. I had to understand, okay, what is happening here? But all I heard was my dad. And so I was like, this is not about my son. This is 100% about me and my relationship with money and how I see it. And this is my choice. I chose to have my son, so I can't be selfish about this. So I had to work on me.
You just listen, you just hit something, and something hit differently for me when you said that, because there are times when I feel like, what we doing now? Like, what exactly do you need $25 for? Do you ask me for last week for $100? You go through that, and then understanding that's a mindset shift.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
I was of the same home as you, where my father owned the money, if you will, and we had to do things to get the money. And even having 2 and 3 jobs when we were growing up, like 16, 17 years old, just to have the things. Right. So I'm glad that you shared that with us. And for me, I'm just like, yeah, like I need to do better. I need to now just say, you know what, when he's asking me these things, because we have the money, don't get me wrong, we have the money. So where is this coming from? And so I'm going to sit back with myself. So thank you for sharing that with us and really being vulnerable and transparent about that.
Absolutely.
And then my other question to you before we kind of move on, is you were in that space for 35 years, and we have similar stories, if you will, doing something for a very long time. And then being at that top, the pinnacle of that particular, career, and then deciding, hey, I'm just going to create my own business. All right. And I'm going to do my own thing with the expertise that I have and the skill set that I'm using. So was that an automatic for you, or was that kind of like a slow kind of a thought? Was it always a desire for you to have your own business while you were still in a corporate, or did it happen after you left, or for whatever reasons?
Never wanted to have my own business because it's easier to work for somebody else.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm a firm believer. I don't work on my birthday. I have worked on my birthday. In fact, this year, somebody asked me, "What are you doing? It's your birthday." I was like, working. Because when you work for yourself, if you work from 9 to 5, that's a part-time job. So you work every day, you work all day, you do what you got to do to hustle. But when I retired, so first of all, me retiring in 2024, it was COVID. It was the attitude of the employees that after COVID, I don't know, just sitting there, and the complaints were unreal. And I'm like, I don't even understand. You at home, you're in the house. What is happening? And one day, I literally, in like 2022, I got frustrated. And I was like, just let me see what my retirement looks like. Let me see when I can go. And in 2022, I discovered I could retire January 1st of 2024. And I called the girlfriend of mine that worked with me, and I asked her I was like, hey, read this and tell me when you think I can retire. And she said the same thing, January 1st of 2024, but why? And so the next thing I did, I sent an email to my boss that said my retirement is January 2nd, 2024. And he was like, where is this coming from? I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I got 2 years and I'm out. And in fact, I think it was a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so working on my own. So I retired. I looked for a job. I applied for a job. I applied for several jobs, and I know my talent. I know my skill sets. I know my abilities.
Right.
And I got one job, and I was literally on that job 3 weeks. I'm talking 3 weeks, and I resigned because the day I resigned, the day went like this. I woke up and I was like, God, I know you did not bring me up out of all of that to put me here for me to be miserable. So, whatever this assignment is, reveal it to me today. Let me see it. Let me make it
Mm.
clear that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I resigned that day because it was a ridiculous environment. But I recognized the assignment was not for me to stay. The assignment was for me to expose some abuse because the employees were being abused. And
Oh.
I was the only person in there that I didn't need that check. Everybody else needed it. And so I
Mm.
wasn't tolerating it. And when I left after 3 weeks, they wanted to know why was I leaving. And I told them because there's something really wrong in there. And I'm not going to subject myself to that, not after the 35 years of stress and strife I've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forwarding past that, I was like, now what am I supposed to be doing? I was like, now I know, because I was like, I'm too young to draw Social Security. And so these 0 years of income is counting against all my success.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What is it you want me to do? And it led me here.
Mm.
It felt right. It feels right.
Yep.
It's not easy, but
No.
I've always trusted in my father who has always led me. My son asked me after I retired, how is it that you were able to retire so young? And I
Mm.
said to him, because I believe it's because God was truly looking out for me because I was looking out for everybody else.
Mm.
I said I didn't when I joined the federal government, I didn't even realize that retirement at 56 and a half was my blessing.
Yeah.
I was never focused on that. I was always focused on God, let me have enough money so that my mom and dad are good. God,
Mm-hmm.
let me have enough money so that when my then husband get ready to retire, we're straight.
Yeah.
Let me have enough money after the divorce so that my son don't have to want for anything. I was
Mm.
always looking out for somebody else. And so I just trust and believe in the heavens that he was looking out for me. And so this is where I am. And I just got to believe that he's looking out for me now. So
I, listen, this is nothing but a word because I'm like, when you said that, like, and I think this is true for many of us who get to a point, like again, that we've been in a career for a very long time, that we are looking out for everybody and everything, and the weight, the
yeah.
responsibility for us to show up and to perform and to do. And then, you know, at our age, and I'm 53, I'm right, behind you. It is a blessing to be retired at this age
Absolutely.
and to be able to start something else, to do something else,
Absolutely.
and do it in the way for which it was supposed to be done.
Mhm.
And we have the skill set, we have the we have the experiences. This is not starting from scratch, right? It's starting from the experiences that we've already had, and how do we in turn make an impact and an influence
Mhm.
to those that we have been assigned to. Because I know that we're not for everybody, okay? Like that
Yeah.
is, you know what I mean? Like what we do and how we do it in our businesses, it's not so that we take care of all the people. There are certain people that you say, like God has given to us that we are supposed
Mhm.
to be in these particular lanes to support and help the kingdom at large.
Absolutely.
right? And this is using our gifts and our talents. And we don't need the marker of 9 to 5 to be able to do that. And you're absolutely correct when you say it is hard. It is gunky. It is a lot of things that we have to endure as a business owner,
Hmm.
but we're doing it in our own unique and special way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love every minute of it because it's so much that's in my head. I just have to get it out, you know.
Yes.
In the financial wellness space that I'm in, I don't challenge what other people have said or what other people's teachings are.
Yeah.
I just offer people a different alternative, just a different way to think about things.
Yeah.
Um, because, you know, I've never been exposed to any financial coaches or advisors or what have you who deal with your emotions before they deal with your money.
Yes. You
And
know,
and for me, what I tell my clients, I was talking to a young man, and yeah, and then he was like, "Well, I'm really interested in working with you." And I was like, "No problem." You know, I said, "We can do that." I said, "But be ready for this because I'm a firm believer that I'm supposed to coach you away from me. You know,
mm,
if I'm an effective finance coach, then you should be able to sustain and handle and manage your business on your own,
yeah.
at least within a year. And if after 1 year you can't stand on your own, you don't have to worry about firing me. I'll fire myself because you know,
That's right.
because I'm like, look, I'm not going to waste your money and I'm not going to waste my time. We
Yeah.
might not be the right fit, but it shouldn't take me a year to recognize that. But my intention is to coach people so that they are financially smarter, so that when they get ready to build their generational wealth, they can do it from a legacy perspective. You know,
Mhm.
I did a seminar a couple weeks ago on organize, prepare, and protect. And what I shared in that class, one of the statements I made in that class was if you pass on assets without knowledge, you're perpetuating poverty.
Yeah.
Because if I give you money, you're simply going to spend it. And if you don't know how to build on it or to continue teaching the generations behind you, then we're going to eventually be right back where we started. So you have to pass on assets and you have to pass on knowledge. And I'm about educating people. I'm not a financial advisor,
Yeah.
not a planner. I don't even want those banners. There are enough people out here to do that. I want to educate so that my son is better, so that his children are better, that every generation gets better and stronger and more financially sound. And so I don't do generational wealth, I do legacy wealth because it's
Yeah.
about my lineage. It's not just about the generation behind me.
Mm. And I love that. And I love the clarity that you have about it too.
Mhm.
Like not worrying about what everybody else is doing and how they're doing it because everyone again has their own way, but you realize that financial wellness and the legacy piece is really where you operate best in.
Yeah.
Now, Glenn Roy is on Facebook, and like Facebook, y'all ain't trying to let me be great when it comes to StreamYard and anything like that. But guess what? I got my phone right here, and I can see all these comments that he's making. So I just
Okay.
want to address them so that way we can acknowledge that he's here. So, first of all, Glenn Roy, thank you so much for being live with us tonight. So, Wanda, he's got several comments. One of them is, when we are on our divine assignment, God will always make a way for us.
Amen. Yes, he
Amen.
will.
Yes, he will. And then in the next one, he says, no matter how uncomfortable the divine assignment may be, when we work that assignment with grace, it makes the way even easier for us to make the transition into what we want to do to serve the kingdom at large.
And I love that he said that because one of the first things I did in this space, I had seminars with senior citizens. I did lecture series with senior citizens on
Mm,
financial wellness.
yeah.
And I love doing it because it's the age of people that they just kind of don't give them the respect that I think they're due, you know. Um, but I love talking to them because, first of all, I only have a few philosophies about life, and my primary one is that I treat the world the way I hope the world would treat my mother and my son.
Hmm.
I don't. I'm still young enough and strong enough that I can handle it. But my son lives in Nebraska, and then all he's got out there are his friends, and he's made some great friends. And my mother is older, and she's fine. She's with my siblings, my relatives in South Carolina. But that's how I deal with people. The way I hope people will deal with them.
Yeah.
And so, being with these senior citizens, I found out, Rochelle, that we've got senior citizens out here who are veterans who are not, taking advantage of their medical benefits. And we all know how much medical costs right now, pharmaceuticals. So, we have seniors out here who, they don't know what they don't know. And so it was such an honor to be in that space and to share the month of June with them. And they got so much out of, what I shared with them. So it not only do I feel like it was a divine assignment, he opened the door from the place where my heart is most passionate, and that's to serve.
Yeah.
So with that, it just motivated me to just want to give more and want to do more. And so absolutely, I try to listen and hear. Look, I don't always hear, but I just always pray that I'm walking in the right direction at least. So
Yeah. And I think that when we know, like when we get into a place, we know right away whether or not it's for us. And if you are walking away from an event or an engagement or, some other sort of gathering with this fulfillment in your heart and in your soul, like that is the thing that sometimes we don't pay enough attention to. Like that is what we get our most like energy from, and being able to, like you said, serve. And that's purpose driven work. All right, that's what we're doing. It's very purpose driven. And I know that the older generation sometimes gets left out. They're not included in the conversation when they should be, as far as like finances, you name it, all the things that come with life in general. So I love that you are serving them in that capacity. And he's got two more comments here too, Wanda. He also says, whatever we were speaking to was a principle that supervisors should know. I should be able to supervise my way out of my job so that my subordinate can become the supervisor. So I think this is when you were talking about your client, like, helping them to see how they can manage their finances so that way you don't have to stick around and be there for years and years. They understand this is what I need to do to manage, the business. And then he also says, any knowledge that we hold on to and do not share is useless.
he must have been in my seminar. So interesting that he made those two comments, because I used to honestly tell my employees that my job is to coach you, educate you, technically train you so that you can grow up and grow out.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to stay with me. If I'm the only place you can work, then I'm failing.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I believe in my heart that yes, you're supposed to grow people away from you. And if they come back to you, that's something else, but they should at least grow away from you. And then with regards to keeping knowledge, no, I would tell any and everybody that whatever I've got is yours to have.
Yeah.
It's somebody gave it to me, so I want to give it to somebody else.
Yeah. All this gatekeeping. I don't, I saw it a lot when I was in service. I see it a lot in business. Um, it, it's not one of my characteristics. People may see it as a flaw, if you will, but for
Mhm.
me, I don't care. to be a gatekeeper or say, well, I'm the only person you can get this information from, because it's not
Mhm.
true. It is not true.
No, because you know what, and I apologize for cutting you off, but what's so critical about that? My philosophy with that was I want to share it so you can leave me alone.
Ah, listen, you get
Because if
out my
I
tail,
tell
you
you,
get out my back.
right, if I tell you and I teach you, then they don't have to always come to me.
Yeah.
They can go to other people. So it's like, you have everything I got. I will
Yeah.
gladly give it to you because then that means there's somebody else,
Yeah.
not just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. Okay. We got several things going on right now. Okay. So then Glenroy says, we are never too grown to sit at the feet of the elders and learn.
That's where you should be sitting if you're trying to learn.
Listen, all right. And I think the older that we get, the more that we start to understand that. I know for me, that's been my case. Every Sunday we get on Zoom call with my family. My mom's the leader of the Zoom call, if you will.
Mhm.
And she is sharing, she's teaching, she's advising, she's guiding, and all that. And all of us, all the way down to the youngest, which is just turned 2, is sitting in the space listening and taken in. But I agree with Glenroy as well that we should definitely be learning more from those who've already walked the path and understand what it takes and what we should do. Now, on the YouTube side, we got Mainline tonight on that side of the house. So Mainline tonight, thank you so much for being live with us on YouTube. They have a question here,
Okay.
and I'm gonna show it to you here, Wanda. Didn't a lot of women of color just lose their federal jobs? Any advice for them or people who may be in that situation?
So thank you for the question, Melissa.
Oh,
Um, I appreciate the question. Absolutely. I know that's scary. I know that it's difficult to lose a job. I mean, look, I was on leave for 11 months before I retired. And so I was still a little nervous, but I was going out the door because I was more excited to go out the door than I was scared, you know.
mhm.
But women of color or all these people who have lost their jobs and find themselves in this situation, it was your power that propelled you to the top, that made you the go-to person, that made you the threat. So don't be afraid to go out on your own and be just as powerful, if not more powerful, because trust and believe you'll work harder for you than you have for somebody else. And look at all the amazing stuff that you did for someone else. So go out here, find you a couple people who's in the same situation. You guys collaborate and watch just how powerful you become. Because if you were, knocking down doors and causing and wreaking havoc by yourself, imagine what you can do with a group of people.
Yeah,
So absolutely go. Just because you lost your job does not mean that the skills and the value that you possess are no longer needed.
yeah,
They in fact, the agency that let you go probably needs you. Just go back as a contractor and charge them just as much, if not twice as much.
hello. I agree. And I know there's a lot of rhetoric around, a lot of women of color losing their jobs or losing their career um, over the past year and a half or so. But, having the lens, a different lens and a different way to kind of pursue something else that could again carry with your expertise, your experience, your skill set into something that you can create and to build. All right. So I see it as a sacred time in between, because something may be percolating in the background for you as you are doing something else. And so I feel like it is an ample opportunity to step fully into what you believe have been something that you could pursue. So love that.
And not to mention, sometimes the universe, whatever
Yeah,
part of the universe you trust and believe, has a way of removing you from someplace you should have left anyway.
yeah,
So I just see it as a redirection. I wouldn't waste my emotions on it. I wouldn't be upset about it. It's a little heartbreaking. It's a little scary just because of the way it was done. But at the end of the day, trust and appreciate the blessing and
yeah.
move. Just go wherever. Let the universe take you wherever it's trying to take you,
Mm,
because you were probably undervalued anyway.
yeah. Yeah,
You know,
probably.
you were probably undervalued anyway. And so sometimes we just have to be afraid to not be afraid to do the thing we're afraid of doing,
Yeah,
you know?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Um, so also Glenroy had one more comment here.
Okay.
If a thought or idea is authentically yours, those you do not have to share. How did you do that? And how do you know that are very different questions? Okay, Glenroy, you're gonna have to clear that one up for me because I was trying to interpret it. I just can't. So rephrase that if you can for me in a different way so that way I can share it. Okay, so while he's working on that, I do want to shift back to financial wellness.
Okay.
And I want to talk a little bit through about the mental aspect and the behaviors. So, what are some behaviors, if you will, that you have seen or as you're working with your clients that continually be like this is a theme, like it's a trending theme, right? Can you share with us what those are
Sure.
and kind of walk us through that?
So people tend to, the thing I've seen the most is there's some anxiety behind save, 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 or things were so tight when I was young, I'm just going to spend, 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 spend.
Mm,
People are either on one side of the spectrum or the other. And if you sit with them and just talk to them, they'll lead you exactly to what the voices that they're hearing. I was speaking to a young lady the other day, and she mentioned, she said, I just, my husband and I, we want to have a splurge account. And I was like, create one.
yeah, that's what you do.
And so she said we have one, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, talk to me about that. And we were talking about it, and when she finished, I said, I still haven't heard the splurge account. Where's the splurge account? And when she sat back and thought through it, they really didn't have a splurge account. And see, the thing
Mm,
about financial wellness, from my perspective, um, fun is not suppressed. A lot of people, when you're budgeting and all of that, they build this rigid plan.
yeah,
And I don't believe in that. I believe that joy and enjoyment of your money is just as critical and just as important as the security and the stability that you create for yourself and your family. But it's important to have the self-awareness and the self-management and understand the social relationships and the relationships that you have, so that if you're in a relationship with someone, it's not about losing your individuality. It's about understanding who you are as an individual, so you can positively contribute to the relationship.
yep,
And so it's all those emotions, but it's how does two different people become one person? Well, the first thing that's wrong with that is you're never going to be one person.
yeah,
So you're trying to do the impossible.
it's true.
It's about understanding the space that you were in as an individual and introducing that person to who you were as an individual, so that you're not that person that I've got to hide my shopping. You grown. Why you got to hide your shopping?
Listen, that part.
So it's already something wrong with that
That's right.
because you, yeah, if you're grown and you've got to hide your shopping, then before you even went shopping, y'all probably should have went to a counselor
Right.
because there's something deeper going on there with
Mm-hmm.
both of you. The fact that you are allowing someone to control you that way, and the fact that they need to control you that way. So it's about working out those type of nuances, so that those type of emotions are not in the way. It's learning how to, and this is so interesting because my son's degree is in counseling and psychology, and my counterpart, he's one of my counterparts or my consultant, and then there's another consultant that I have that's a PhD. Therapists do the I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do I feel
Mm.
because you're not responsible for how I feel.
Right.
But I do the I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend we, because typically if you say I recommend, it's a we in the sentence somewhere.
Yep.
And that promotes, first and foremost, acknowledgement that I'm not in this by myself.
Yeah.
Second, that I need to consider someone else. And third, that we should be doing this together, whatever it is we're doing. And so you just have to deal with all of those different emotions. But so I'm actually a certified curriculum developer. And so I build my own curriculums. All my programs are authentically mine based on
Mm.
my weird thought. I have a girlfriend who calls me third eye because her thing is the way you see stuff. Nobody sees stuff the way you see stuff. But I
And
love that. But
that's right.
it took me a minute to embrace that. I had to embrace my mind doesn't work like everybody else's kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But it lets me develop my own curriculum from my own philosophies, from my own position. And so I created a curriculum that I'm getting ready to start hosting classes for called the 4 Dimensions of Financial EQ, which is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Because you have to deal with the emotions and the behaviors that drive your money story before you can deal with the money in the story.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to, because if you just dealing with the money in the story, you're only as good as whoever's watching you at this moment. So I believe that financial literacy is good, but it's great when it's blended with critical thinking and strategic analysis. And that's what my financial wellness piece is about. It's about thinking through not just the money in the moment, but the money of your future self.
Yeah.
You got to be okay in the future because nobody's going to look out for you like you. You got to be your own advocate. And since Social Security is supposed to go away in what, 8 years?
That's what I heard. That's the word on the street.
That's the word on the street. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to have the knowledge and not allow the way we've been conditioned to think to be the way that you keep moving forward.
You're absolutely right. And I loved all of what you shared, especially the fact of having no joy or excitement in the money that you have earned or you are making. It's not a black and white, kind of like a strict.
No.
We can't do anything for X amount of years until we get money into our bank accounts that look like this, you know, and it does prevent you from living the life. Because for me, I'm like you. I'm like, I've got a splurge account, and I'm making sure that if I want to go and do the thing or go buy the things, I go buy the things. I do the things. I have a certain mindset when it comes to, going out, and I'm very intentional about what I buy and what I do. So that already kind of gives me the parameters for which I
Mhm.
govern myself when I use my money. But at no means am I crawling on the ground, okay? Because I've heard people like coming in from the garage, crawling on and doing a low crawl to the upstairs with a bag and trying to hide stuff, what you bought, like that ain't like I'll come in here with 3 or 4 bags at a time, and everybody's like, "Oh, you went out shopping today?" Yep, sure did. So, and I go about my business, but having that as a way to kind of give another perspective to someone who's looking
Mhm.
at the money, right? And I love the other part of the third eye of having another dimension about, like this is how I see my programs, my delivery of my presentations and workshops to connect, to give the people a realistic view on how you can take care of yourself and the people around you that have the money. Now, Glenroy is up here with a lot of comments too. Like Glenroy is giving us the guidance and support we need. We love you, Glenroy, for doing that. He says the power of a melanin rich woman is as simple as the mental and emotional atmosphere shifting for anyone when they refer to a person as baby. Listen, we know how to do that. Okay, real quick. And then he says, who did you know that? That is knowledge that they can find or you can express to them. Who did you do that? Requires that you act on a thought that you have. Processes are internally driven.
I don't know if he's asking a question
I
or
think
if
he's
he's
making a
making
statement.
statements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who did you know that? That is knowledge that they can find or you can express to them. Who did you do that? It must have been on something we were saying and not quite connecting the dots just yet, but
Okay.
it,
Okay.
it, it will come here soon enough.
Absolutely.
So I love that you shared, some of the trending um thoughts or perspectives about the money. So what would you say, like if someone's beginning to really kind of figure out like I need to reset, like I have been doing things and I don't even know what's happening with his money right now. I don't even know. Like, can you give me like the top 3 things that someone should think about, consider, or what you would recommend that they begin to do so they can start to own their money journey?
So for people who do the I don't know what's happening right now, my first thing to them is stop and look at your finances. Okay, because you can't tell me what's happening, or you can't get help if you can't articulate what the issues are. Just
Mm,
to walk in somebody's place and go, I don't know what's happening is okay, because that's what's happening right there. That's the
right.
problem.
Because you don't know.
You don't know what's happening.
Listen. Whew.
So, so that would be my first thing. Okay, let's stop and take inventory. What do you own? What do you owe? Let's get that. And
Mm,
depending on how well and how easy they can articulate that to me determines what the next step will be. Because if the articulation is clear and it's just out there, then it's just a matter of, okay, let's come up with a plan.
mhm.
Before we come up with a plan, tell me your money story. Help me understand, because again, there's no point in me fixing this if I don't fix the behavior that got you here in the first place.
Right.
So while they're coming up with the plan, coming up with the story and giving me the details of the story, then I'll formulate a plan.
Mm,
And then from the plan, I don't just give it to them, I walk along with them,
yeah.
because we come, like I give them like a 30-day incremental challenge. Let's start right here, because the greatest thing about reshaping your financial journey is creating the discipline that allows you to walk a different walk.
Right.
So, so discipline comes with creating new behaviors. So no problem.
Yep.
30 days. Let's do this thing right here. And inside the 30 days, I celebrate with them every week. Let's celebrate something. We may just be celebrating that you followed the directions for 1 week. But to a person who didn't have the discipline to do it before, 1 week of being disciplined is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. So I celebrate with them and I celebrate them. But I'm at the same time, I'm helping them to recognize the discipline. I'm helping them to recognize triggers. I'm helping them to understand how to celebrate without incurring cost. Everything doesn't have to be tied to I'm celebrating, so I'm going to buy this.
Right.
No. If you are busy, if you have a lot going on in your household, I'm celebrating maybe that you just take a day where you put everybody out the house and you just got a quiet day. That might be your reward. It's about learning how to celebrate you without incurring cost, because that's a mindset. Every celebration costs money.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. So just to kind of recap, I would first make them stop.
Yep.
We would look at what they owe and what they own. We would get a handle on what emotion is driving this behavior. And then we will come up with a plan, and we'd probably get into a 30-day challenge. And as soon as we start, let's just get into a 30-day challenge, because if you're going to change your behavior, then that's the commitment you need to make. I'm changing my behavior, not let's gradually do it. No, you've been gradually messing up. So that's how we got here. Gradual is not your friend.
Right. We're going to get right at it.
Let's just get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to do this way. And you may fall off, and that's okay. But what's important is that you get up and you get back on.
Yeah.
As long as you're intentional. One of the frameworks that I've created is called FAIR, financially aware, intentionally responsible. And that's about purpose-driven spending. We start to look at the essential values of everything that you buy. So whatever you buy, if we can't tie it to freedom, growth, independence, ability, joy, if we can't tie it to one of those, then that means it doesn't fit.
Right.
And now we got to do an analysis. How many it doesn't fits do you have in this week? So we start to work to where the it doesn't fit disappears. And so your purchases become intentional. Not so much that joy is the most, but joy is still in there. What we're trying to get away from is it doesn't fit. And so at the same time that we're going through that drill, I'm actually teaching you gap analysis as well as how to analyze your own behavior.
Interesting.
Why?
Because Glenroy, okay, so I was looking at the same time you were talking. He says, when it comes to shopping, biblically speaking, Proverbs 31:11-24 gives insight to this. And so I went and looked it up because I was like, okay, let me see exactly what it says. And, there is some connection here.
Okay.
So
Proverbs 30 was Proverbs 31. So we talk about that virtuous woman, but so let's go.
Yeah. But when you were talking about tying it to the why, you know what I mean? Like, what are the pockets for which you are buying the thing? And in this particular passage or the scripture reading, it says the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it with the fruit of her hands. She plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her door to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household. For her, all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. So what I hear and see in that is that there is a very distinct, there's a lot of specifications as to how she goes about her life and how she is using not, and it's not all about the monies per se, but the resources that she has available to her to make sure she's doing right by, and in this case, her husband and her, and it's like a family unit, if you will, when you're together, right?
Yes.
So it is a very thoughtful and purposeful way of how you use the money or the resources that you have available to you, and understanding there's a lot of thought behind it so that you're not just mindlessly walking through the stores. Okay. And I see it all the time because, my business is going out and doing personal shopping, if you will, for some of my clients. And I'll see a lot of women returning things back. They have all kinds of things that they say they don't like, they didn't like. And it's like an ongoing conversation. And I look at some of the stuff and I go, what in the world are we buying? What is that you exactly bought? And it's like some random things, right? So I do believe that having the right mindset around the money is definitely the foundation for which you should start to build, because we all have our stories around the money, and that can truly affect us either positively or negatively on the way that we carry on with our life. Just saying.
Well, most people don't realize that they have a money story. If you were to ask somebody randomly, what's your money story?
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to tell you. And that's
right.
okay. That's okay. Yeah. But it isn't about just the money, because money isn't just numbers. It's every decision you make is a chance to align your choices with your values, to strengthen your confidence financially, to build the legacy you deserve. People have to realize every dollar they spend is a vote for the life they believe they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
If you do a lot of credit, that's not the life you deserve unless you truly believe you deserve it. And most people don't. And that's where they are in this space of, it's overwhelming. It's, that's why credit reduction is such a big business.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
It's about that lack of control. It's about that lack of discipline. And that's what I teach. I teach control. I teach discipline. Even if the issue is, I want to go out to eat every week, I've got no problems with that.
Yeah.
If you can afford it, and let's build it into your budget.
Absolutely. Yes. I agree.
Let's separate it from the rest of the money, because when you've spent all that money, whether it was one meal or 7, you're done for the week.
You're done.
You're done. You're done for the week. Now you got to cook for the week, but it's really about treating money as a tool. Right now, the majority of the people live in a space where they use money to survive.
Yes.
because all the purchases are unintentional. And I still do it. I still every now and then I have a mindless moment. It's like I'm not even sure
Yeah.
what that was. There have been times when I brought home a pair of shoes that was already in the closet.
Like you didn't even know you had them, and you was like, "Oh, let me go and see. Let me go buy it." And you go in there, girl, and you got them. I was like, "What?"
And in fact, I will tell you, everything about financial wellness from Grayson Consulting's perspective is born out of my own experiences. Girl, I was so sharp one day going to work. Let me tell you. And as I was walking, I saw this little like black dust. And I was like, where is this dust coming from? But I was like, I'll deal with that when I get back home. I got to get to work. But that same dust followed me to the garage and work 45 miles down the road. And I looked at my shoe, the heel had dry rotted.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
so many pairs of shoes that they just sat in the closet. And so by the time I wore this one pair of shoes, the heel
was done. It was a wrap.
It was done. It was done. And so from that, I could have said, let me go to the mall and get me a pair of shoes. But I always kept a pair of tennis shoes in my office.
Right.
And I was like, no, that's the problem. I've got so many pairs of shoes that I'm not wearing them all. And they just sitting in the closet, dying on the vine.
Literally.
Right. So it's like, I'm not going to buy a pair of shoes. I honestly need to deal with the stuff that's in my closet because clearly it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have done it. We are all guilty of it. But I feel like the more we gain information and in perspective, the better we're acknowledging it and bringing it to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about being perfect about it or making sure that there's no mistakes or any slip ups, but this is just a part of the life that we are living. And Glenn Roy also said people look at money as an emotional cushion. Money is a tool, and you said that already, right? So y'all are in the same kind of in each other's head. And then he said credit nowadays gives many people the false notion that they can afford it, which is
see, let's see. I don't believe credit is bad. I just believe the way people use credit is bad.
Yep.
But I'm a firm believer that it's not only credit that give people or the false sense that they can afford it. Sometimes people money make them feel the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. Just because you have money, you feel secure, but that does not mean you are.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people right now today who's got lots of money, who in 5 years will not be secure because they're not doing the right thing with the money, or they got the wrong behaviors. So money has a way, along with credit, of making you feel maybe a false sense of security.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to embrace, that it's about taking inventory. It's just about not always allowing your money to give you a false sense of confidence, because like the people that with the theoretical $1 million, my TSP got $1 million in it. My 401k has $1 million in it right now. But if everything about your future is tied to some element of risk, then your future is not stable.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of discussions that I have with my clients, because it's just about their well-being. It truly is. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about budget and credit and savings. It's about you got the money today, but what's happening in the future? How secure are you in the future? It's about how much information are you imparting to your children? It's about does your Does your people around you know how to take care of you if you ever get to a point to where you can't take care of yourself or you can't talk for yourself? Or it's about things as simple as your house is paid for, something happens to you. Do your children know that they still got to pay taxes so they don't lose the house to tax?
Hello.
It's simple stuff like
Simple
that.
things.
It's about understanding Medicaid spin down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a lot of people who don't understand that Medicaid is the one burden that you pay all your life, and you better hope you never have to use it if you need it.
Absolutely.
So people don't understand this. And I've said this to a couple of people that, if you ever, your children need to understand. My son knows. Do not just throw me in a state-ran facility because you might just be giving away your inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. But you have to have plans. You gotta talk. And that's why it's important to normalize conversations around money and death and living, because if you can embrace the fact that you're all gonna die one day, let's make sure we got peace of mind right now. People would be much better off, and the conversations won't be so strained, and families won't be going through so much when grief does happen, in whatever form grief happens.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And I know all of us, at some point either have experienced or will experience that. And, all the things that you have shared tonight, Wanda, have been so insightful. They have been value added. It's given us a different way to look at managing our funds and how do we, use our money. And Glenroy is like a paycheck today is just a paycheck today, which is absolutely what we were speaking to. And Chevy says, amen. Okay. Because amen to all this we're talking through, because these conversations that we have about money can be very difficult and challenging, to say the least, but they need to be had. And it's better to have these conversations when you're not in the midst of the chaos, the confusion, because things have been said, people have done things that aren't necessarily in alignment for whoever's decisions, choices, desires. So anyway, y'all, this has been such a great discussion. And so, Wanda, just two more things. What have you shared that you want to share before we leave? Because we've been on here, and as I already knew, we've been on here over an hour now. And so let's just, get to what you haven't shared that you wanted to share before we leave.
Well, so in Grayson Consulting, we're starting to do a few courses. I'm trying to do one at least once a month. And so just some things that we have coming up. September 22nd, there is a Money Mindset Monday event at Orleans Bistro. And that one is the subsequent or the follow-on course to the Organize, Prepare, and Protect. So that one, that night, that guest speaker will be a state attorney. On the 24th of September at Veterans Growing America, I'm doing a business course, a business finance course. In October, I will be doing along with Mr. Mike Hopkins, I will be doing a veterans benefits seminar. And then I'm looking at doing a workshop on the 4 dimensions of financial EQ at Success Space in Central Park. That is a fabulous space owned by Miss Felicia Miner and her friend. If you have not been there, you should go and check it out. It's a meeting space. And so it's a great place to host your meetings, as well as potentially join and use the office space. And so also being a member, the outreach coordinator of Veterans Growing America, I'm starting to put together some things and reach out and try to connect Mr. Johns with some other members of this region so that, we can continue doing the great work at Veterans Growing America that we are doing. And so, but other than that, I just want to thank you so much for this opportunity. For people that know me, they know I absolutely hate talking to machines. I don't even leave messages on voicemail.
Listen, y'all, she in here, you wouldn't even think that at all. Because she was in here telling us all of that. I'm like, you're a pro at this, Wanda. So
But well, I thank you, and you made it very easy. But I'm very passionate about what I do, and so next weekend I'll be at Veterans Growing America. Actually selling my legacy planner, which is a custom made book that has all of your information in one space. It comes with a counseling session. But more than that, just come on out and get to know me. And let's see how we can work together. Let's see how I can help you, or you can help me, or we can just go have some coffee or something. So,
well, I thank you so much again for your time, for your insight, for your expertise in this space. And Glenroy also says he does not like talking to the machine either. So I've been trying to get Glenroy on the show, and I'm like, come on, Glenroy, it's your turn too. So I've got such amazing people in my community that I just want to show off to. So we just got to be obedient, okay? And when it's our time to go, we just say yes, we will, and we will get through it together.
yes.
So
And with that, I have to thank Miss Melissa Jacobs, because this is
yes.
all because of her. So I know she's watching, so I appreciate Melissa. And if you are looking for a good social media manager, she is it. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, I'm always in the what do you call that? I don't even know, like the talent management, right? Like
Mhm.
looking to see who's there, and perhaps we'll have a conversation and see how that, because I'm managing all the things, and I don't like to manage all the things all the time. So
She really is. So, but this
oh
has
my
been
goodness.
amazing, and I appreciate you so much. And who knows, maybe I'll start my own podcast or something.
Listen, you heard it first thing here, y'all. Don't ever think that she just started just doing. Y'all heard it here on the Slay to Success Talk Show. She may start her own show, and guess what? We all gonna be listening to that too. All right. I love that. And Glenroy says, life is lifing. Praying again for you. I know he went home to Antigua because his dad is in some sort of health or having some sort of conditions or whatnot. So thank you for tuning in from Antigua. I mean, we're international now because of you. But yes, we are looking out for you as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So my last question for you
Mhm.
is the legacy question, of course. It's the 80th birthday. I think most of us are, got more days behind us than we have in front of us.
Mhm.
And as we are pursuing the purpose-driven missions, one of the things that I think about a lot is, what will my friends and family say about me on my 80th birthday? And I'm gonna have a big old party. So if I'm able to get blessed to have those days, there are certain things that I want people to say about me. So what would you want your family and friends to say about you if you are blessed to see 80?
Just that she was there. She
Mhm.
was always there when I needed her. I mean, when I turned 50, I made it very clear to everybody okay, this part of my life was about me now. So I gave the first 50 years to you. Now this part's about me. And don't mean you can't call. It just means you need to call somebody else first. You need a back.
What? Listen, yeah.
But truly, that I always led and interacted with my heart.
Mm,
And because that's the only way, I don't waste my time wasting my time.
mm,
And so that's how I want everybody to remember, or to what they would say about me, is that, she always gave from her heart.
mm. I love that. I love that I love the work that you are doing.
Thank you.
You were redirected. Latasha loves this question. Thank you, Latasha, and thank you so much for being here live with us tonight. Um, but yeah, so many times we don't understand or know why we're doing what we're doing, but when we can get closer and closer every day to know that, then this is where we have change makers, trailblazers, leaders, influencers, those that have made a significant impact in the world and doing it in their own unique way. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, Wanda, for being a guest on the Slay to Success talk show, first of all, and enlightening us with so much to think about. And then for all those that came here live, we couldn't be here, we could definitely do it by ourselves, but it's always great to have people who join us because you could be doing anything else. It is football season, so there's a lot of other, competing factors when it comes to this show. But I thank you. So Vanity, Chevy, Mainline tonight, which is Melissa, Glenroy, um, and then we had Latasha. Thank you so much for joining us live tonight. Now, in the background, your son, is his name Patrick?
It is.
He is in the background in the studio. Now, I don't know if we bring him to the stage if he has anything to say. He's probably just hanging out.
That's up to you.
Okay, so Patrick, okay, normally I don't do this type of thing. You could look at all the other shows, but you've been sitting in the background. So I'd be curious to know if you're still here and if you have anything to say about how well your mom did on the show.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Hi,
Oh,
baby.
okay. Hello. So I hopped in a little late and I apologize for that, but I think, it's one of those things that I think I've had to come to really enjoy about my mom is that as I've come to grow up and gotten to watch her continue to grow up, it's been the same. She's always been this well spoken. She's always been this articulate. She's always been this forward thinking. And so I'm really happy to be able to say that, like, the version of Wanda Grayson that you all saw here today is the Wanda Grayson that I've known all of my life.
Mm.
That my friends look up to. I have friends that want to be my mom when they grow up. It's so funny. And so I think that this is Wanda being her fabulous self, and I'm grateful you sent me the link, Mama. I apologize I'm backstage though.
That's okay. Thank you, baby. Thank you so much for your kind words. You're my favorite person for sure. So
Oh, this is such a beautiful moment. And Patrick, I'm so happy that you were in the background. And, it is really it's a great reflection of not only your mom but like you, as to share those beautiful words and to give her flowers while she's here. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you sharing that with us and the audience today. You got all from Latasha said all, you know what I mean. And you got Shondella, I don't know, but Shondella is in the building too, and she said she was here.
Yes.
And she said she is amazing. Hashtag third eye. Latasha says, yes, it is tears. I mean, I think you probably made the whole show, like, really think hard about what we are doing, especially when we have children who are in our midst, because you're not always talking about what it is you're watching and you're taking notes. So definitely appreciate that you shared that with us and that you were here on the show with us.
Mm.
yes, for sure. Thank you so much. I love you. You know, you are my favorite person. He really is my favorite person. He's such a wonderful person. Not because he's my son, but because he in his own right is such a good person.
Yes.
And that's just phenomenal. And I do want to thank all my friends that have been watching and listening to my debut. I hope I did you all proud. I feel good about it. Look, Melissa will let me know for sure.
Yes, she will. And then Gloria said that's what a son says about a great, authentic mom.
Thank you.
Um, So I don't think that we can close this out on a higher note. So y'all, thank you so much for being here with us live. We will be back here next Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Or you can find me again on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Rise and Slay Morning Show. So we can pick up a little bit and really focus on our brand, okay? Because that's who we are and that's what we about. So as far as the show, we are coming to a close. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And if you come back for the replay, put in hashtag replay in the comments so that way I can share comments or talk to you through that about what you learned, any insightful information about this particular show. And of course, keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you.